developing a simple web page with maybe 5 pages or so, right? So, and we are going to use Node.js. Next week we'll talk about Express.js, so we're going to use both together. Like I mentioned, that the materials you have here, you can use online materials too. You can use online materials too. So I'm going to be uploading, or I will add some link to some YouTube videos that you can watch that can guide you through the assignment, right? I'll put some videos. You can also Google. There are several videos relating to that as well that can guide you in case you get stuck when you are working with your assignment, right? So basically, today is just for the lecture, right? So we want to look at MEAN, introduction to MEAN, right? So like we mentioned last week, MEAN is an abbreviation of MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node.js. MongoDB, Express, Angular, and JS. So the concept behind what we are trying to do in this class or in this course is for us to use JavaScript-driven solutions to cover every part of our web application development. Initially, we have learned how to use HTML, CSS in time past, but once now we can use JavaScript, create web application using JavaScript-driven solution to cover every part of our application. So what is the advantage of doing this, right? You have a single language all through. You can have a single language all through. Your JavaScript, your Node.js, Express, you can just have that all through instead of having, you can still add your HTML and your CSS, but the beauty of using the main stack or main stack is for you to be able to, use a single language all through. So all the part of the application can support and enforce the use of MVC structure, model view controller structure, model view controller structure, right? So as we all know that MongoDB is a NoSQL database. I'm sure we all know that. It uses JSON file. Once you put in your input, it takes you to the database and you will see it is in JSON format, unlike your structured query language. We also be using the Express.js. Express.js is basically a lightweight. Node.js for web application is used to for the framework of the application. So it's a lightweight Node.js web application framework. It's like, when you say framework, it's like a platform, right, where you can put all your pages. So Node.js is a server-side script execution environment, right? If you're familiar with the LAMP, you will know that for the LAMP, the backend or the server-side could be maybe use a PHP, the server-side scripting language. But for this, remember we said you can just use your JavaScript all through for the application. So the Node.js is the server-side scripting execution, and it's already built into your Chrome. So most of your browsers already have it. So we have A, we have main stack. A is Angular. So Angular also is a JavaScript framework developed by Google as well, and it's for the front end, development. So if you look at now, we say we have main stack. The one we've been using prior to now is LAMP. LAMP means Linux, Apache, MySQL as your database, and the interface instead of Angular that we're using PHP, right? We're using PHP, Python, Perl, right? So if you look at it, put it together, the Linux is similar to your Node.js that we are using now, right? Which is the platform that we are using. Then the Apache is like your Express.js that we are using, which is the web server, and the MySQL, the database, is the MongoDB we are using now. So, and the PHP or Python, now we are using Angular, right? So if you look at it from that view, you can see that we are just moving from using LAMP to the main stack, right? So for main stack, like I mentioned last week, I said we have main, we have main. Men, instead of using Angular, you use React. You use React. You use React. So React is a JavaScript component, also a front-end library, right? So which is maintained by Facebook. So some people use React, some people use Angular, right? So by the time in the course, we might switch to React. We might use React so that we can have a good, can have an understanding of both, right? So what is the advantages of, or what are the advantages of using MEng stack? So increases number of requests. It makes you to, when you make a request to the server, right? So it helps to increase the number of requests. It reduces response time, and it's cross-platform. The MEng stack is cross-platform. It runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac. So whichever OS you are using, the MEng stack runs on it. Is cross-platform, and also you are able to use just one single programming language, right, for the entire project. So let's look at the Twitter web application development. Web application has a Twitter architecture, the model view. How many of us have worked with MVC? The model view controller. So the model is your data, the view is your presentation, and the logic is a controller. All your command, all the logic that you put together to be able to, for execution, to be able to give your output. So in web application, generally the application structure, we can say the front end, the back end, and our database, right? So that is the client, the server, and the database. Everything there has to be a connection between your front end and the server and your database, because all the entries eventually goes into the database, and you need the client and the server to connect, right, to be able to do that. So in web application, the structure is usually this, right? So, but in modern web development, remember we said we are moved from just developing websites to developing web applications now. So the modern web development now, we can break that, still break this into database, the server logic, the client logic, and the client UI, the user interface. You need to make your UX or UI look good, right? That creates an attraction as well, and is a plus, right? So I will encourage us, by the time we start working on a project or your assignment, also consider the UX, the user interface, the way it looks, right? So you make it, look good, right? You can just take a look at some sites, how it's being done, and then you create an idea and make your the user interface to look good. So like we mentioned earlier on, we are using like the MVC pattern architecture that I had mentioned earlier on. So in the MVC architecture, the view, we said, handles the visual part, and it takes care of user interaction, while the controller, remember, the controller responds to all the events, all the logic, right? So the controller represents, it will respond all the events on click, on doing this, on doing that. You see the execution. So the controller does that, and the model handles data manipulations and requests. So this is just a diagram that explains that when the user makes any, maybe create any events, you click, you double click, you unload your Windows, right? So the controller has to make changes to the model, right? And the model then updates the view, which is what you see as the output. Right? So in the 25 years of web development, many technology stacks became popular for building three-tier web applications. We also have the .NET framework. I'm sure some of us have heard of that as well. So the web technology stack, the LAM, we have heard of that. We have explained that. Linux, Apache, MySQL. We also have the .NET stack, which is uses the .NET framework, the IIS, the ASP.NET, Web APIs, and the MySQL server. We also have other frameworks, the Django, and each layer uses a different knowledge base. Right. So apart from the main stack, Node.js. So Node.js at a conference, JS conference in 2019, a developer named Ryan Dahl went out to present a project named Node.js. Right, so in 2008, he looked at the current web trend and discovered that there's something odd in the way web application work. Remember I said then we say what we are developing website, web pages, right? So he discovered that, and as we introduce the asynchronous JavaScript technology, it tends to transform our static web pages. Remember, we are creating static web pages using our HTML, CSS. So it has to transform it to building dynamic web application, right? So, but there was a problem. The problem was that it did not support two-way communication. That's communication between the web browser and the web server. So he tested that, right? So later, Google announced the Google Chrome with version of 8 of JavaScript. So that is why when you launch your web page now, you have a JavaScript, you are able with any of the browsers, most of the browsers now have it built into it, right? So when Google announced the announced Chrome with the new version 8 JavaScript engine in late 2018, it became obvious that JavaScript could run faster than before, right? So with that version 8, it gives an advantage, a great advantage for compiling JavaScript code, right? So Dow noticed this and decided to try a new idea, non-blocking sockets in JavaScript. So this is how Node.js, came into existence. So he now took the version 8 engine and he wrapped it with almost a solid C code. Some of us can write C, right? We have heard of C programming. And with that, he now created the first Node.js. So basically, we say the non-blocking socket in JavaScript, he took the version 8 engine of that JavaScript and he wrapped it around C code. C. So that was how Node.js came into existence. So if you look at some of the code, you see some C or C#. Right. So the result was that Node.js wasn't just a JavaScript execution engine, but it now became a platform capable of running complex JavaScript applications. Right. So that was how Node.js came into existence. Right. So and we started using it to build complex applications. Right. So, but in the year 20, we are just saying all this history so that we can understand it. So by next class, even in this class, we'll take a little demo, and by next class, we'll do a little hands-on. Like I mentioned, the hands-on will take us through to what we do this week and next week is what will be part of your assignment 1. Be part of your assignment 1, and also I'm going to upload some videos that will guide you, because at times when you are working, building your applications, you might encounter some error. It might be different from yours, it might be different from mine, right? So, but I will advise us when you are working, building your applications, you encounter any error, just copy. If you don't understand the error, copy the error, put it in a browser window. If you put it in a browser window, it will show you. You can ask for the YouTube on how to correct this error, right? How to fix this error, right? So just say YouTube on how to fix. Just paste that error message, paste it there. So it will give you the YouTube. It will even give you a documentation step by step of what you can do, right, to be able to do that. So by the year 2014, a conflict rose between Joyent, the company that owns the Node.js asset, and a group of some other contributors to the project, right? So there are some contributors to the project that gave birth to Node.js, right? So they had conflicts, and they felt maybe they should break up or split up, right? So in the year January 2015, they decided to form the Node.js project and call it IO.js. So the new project, aim for faster, more predictable release cycle. But a few months later, the IO.js team, backed by the company's developers, now invited joint office. They had a discussion and they were able to, agree again to come together and to create the Node.js, right? So there was a breakup, but later they now came together. So, and that brought about a big upgrade in Node release, right? Brought about an upgrade in Node release. So you can see how Node.js came into existence. So let's look at the Node.js event-driven programming. Node.js event-driven programming, right? So remember when you are developing the web server logic, you probably know that a lot of the system resources are wasted on blocking code. At times, the code might be blocked from executing. So, like when we use the PHP, for instance, if you are familiar with PHP, let's take an example from this following PHP database interaction. If you are writing PHP, this is how to write. It will start with like a $sign. Right? We are writing PHP. So we want to get the output, and we are querying a database. So MySQL, we are querying, say select all from users. That's the name of that database. And it should print out the output. So the server will try to query that database. At times, the output might not come up immediately. It might take a while. So some few things might be blocking your mind. There might be a delay. So the database will then perform the select statement and it will return the result to PHP code, which will eventually be displayed as the output. So this code can experience a blockage at any point in time until it gets the return from the database. So that might be like an idle time, right? So that might be like an idle time, right? So, and it's to have to wait for those queries to be executed, to be processed before the output will be given, right? So at that time, when it's waiting, at that idle time, some resources are just being wasted at that point in time, right? So to resolve that issue, many web platforms, they've implemented a threadful system that usually issue a single thread per connection. So that helps to resolve that issue of idle time or delay or blockage, right? So we're able to, the multi-threading at first has disadvantage. So with that, with the thread pool that was introduced, it's just one single thread per connection. So because with the multi-threading, there were lots of disadvantage. One, the thread becomes complex. That is why it causes a blockage or a delay, right? The system resources, they are wasted at that time, at that idle time when it's not responding. The system resources, and they are being wasted, right? So scaling this kind of application cannot be done easily. It takes time. It's time consuming. It takes time to be able to do that as well. So let's look at the real life consequences of blocking versus not blocking code. If your code is blocked and if it goes in seamlessly, it's executed seamlessly. So this chart gives a comparison of Apache and Nginx. Apache, which is a blocking web server. Remember at times when you are trying to upload or run, it will tell you that something is blocking. So this is Apache, which is a blocking web server, and Nginx. So this blue, or if you call it green, is Apache. The other one is Nginx. So if you look at it now, you see that Apache's request handling ability is degrading faster than that of Nginx. If you look at it, the request ability of Apache degrades faster. You can see it. You can see from the when you make a request, that of Apache degrades faster, while that of Nginx is still a little bit off. Right. see that the Nginx event loops will affect memory consumption. Apache degrades faster, but that Nginx will affect the memory consumption, the memory. So that's why at times when you are launching your application, you encounter a delay, right? So most of we are using that LAMP architecture. Right. So let's look at introducing NPM. So if there's time, we might even start the hands-on in class, right? So once we start with the NPM and other slide, some of what I'm going to be mentioning, we are still going to use it in the hands-on, right? So Node.js, like we said, is a platform. It's a platform, which means that its feature and API are kept to a minimum. To achieve a maximum functionality with Node.js, you use a module system. We are still going to talk about modules, right? We will see how we can add modules, right? Introduce modules into your Node.js. By the time we start writing the script, at a point in time, we'll add modules to it. So to achieve more complex functionality, you have to use module systems that will allow you to extend the platform. So when we start adding modules to our Node.js, this is the reason why we're doing that, right? To be able to extend its functionality, right? So the best way to install, update, and remove Node.js module is using npm. It's using npm. So if you want to remove your Node.js modules, you use npm. So npm basically is a registry of packages for browsing, downloading, and installing third-party modules. So you can use the CLI, command line interface to manage local and global packages. So when you are installing Node.js, when we did that Node.js installation, you will see that it add the npm to it. I'm sure we all saw that. So we should add the npm to it. If you go to your event variables, you see that npm, right, the path. So npm is installed during Node.js installation process. So if you have done that installation, if you go to your environment variable, you see the path and you see npm there. So npm has two installation mode. It could be local or global. So by default, it is local. Right. Local is used to install the third-party packages, right, into the local node module folder placed inside the application, right. So the global mode is used to install packages you want Node.js to use globally. So if you want Node.js to use any package globally, you use the global node. So we'll still demonstrate this use of npm by installing Express. We have not installed Express, so we are still going to do that when we install Express. So this is how it works when you install it in the your C prompt. So it makes it available to Node.js application running on your system. So basically, to install a package using npm, you have to run the following command. If you want to install a package, remember so you install packages, you know, packages using npm. So to install packages using npm, you run this command. We are still going to see that once we do the hands-on npm init and so on. Right. So to install, this is Mac. So if you see this dollar, don't try and put this dollar with this on Windows, right? So npm install the name of the package you want to install, right? The name of the package you want to install. If you want to install it globally, we'll talk about, we've mentioned local and global. Npm install space dash d, then the package you want to install globally. Remember, so you can install Node globally or locally, right? So to install Express locally, you go to your application folder and you should that command npm install Express. we are still going to do that by next week to install the Express because we use Express, right? So npm install any package you want to install. Then if you have a specific version of that package, you specify it as, if it's version 3, version 1 point something that you want to install, install a specific version of that package, you specify it. Like what we have here now. We want to install Express, but we want to be more specific. We want the 2.0 version. If you use this npm install Express, it will install the current version. It will install the current version. But if you want to be more specific, you don't want the current version, maybe you want a specific version, you say npm install Express at the version you want to install. So you can decide that you want to remove a package using the npm. Right. So you have already installed your package and you want to remove it. npm uninstall the package you want to uninstall. So if you install the package and probably it's not functioning, or there are errors, or there are issues with the package, you can remove it, then reinstall. So npm uninstall the name of the package. So you can remove a package. If I install it globally, you can remove it globally. Right. So npm install space dash the global, G means global, then the package that you want to, the name of the package that you want to install. You can update a package using npm, but be careful when you're doing updates. Why did I say be careful when you're doing updates? If you have started developing your application, right, and you want to make an update can affect your application. It can affect that application that you have developed. So if you have started developing application and you want to update any package, be careful the way you update. If you update, it might make your application not to run the way you have designed it or the way it has been working. So if you have created an application and it's running and you update any of the package that you are using and it's behaving somehow, just know that it's because you have updated. Right. So be careful the way you update. So to update a package to its latest version, use the following command: npm update the package you want to install. Right. So you can update the package globally. Use the following command: npm. You can update npm update space dash g then package you want to. But remember, I've mentioned the risk behind updating if you have started building your application. You don't want to, so take note of that if you encounter or experience that. So managing dependencies and using the package JSON. So when you by the time you start writing your code, you are going to be creating a package.json file. Right. So npm will allow you to do a configuration file, name package.json in the root folder of the application. You will see it by the time we, if time permits us to do it, you'll see the package.json file. So npm will allow you to use the configuration. In the package.json file, you will be able to define various metadata properties. You will see that as we do that of your application, such as the name, the version, author. So once you do that demo, author, you can put in your name as the author. The version of the package you are using, it will ask you. You can put it, or it will even show you this is the version you are using. Right. So we'll see that as we move along. So you see something like this: the name of the package, the version, the dependencies, and all those stuff. You will see all those. You will see. So that will be in your package.json file. Right. You see that in the package.json file. Right. So so the package.json file is in JSON. You see that it's in JSON format as well. So an application is in latest Express package. We have this is Express package. The .json file to look like this. Yeah. So the package.json file as well, you can manually create it, or you use npm init to create it. This makes it easier and faster. npm init makes it easier and faster. Just go to your terminal, right? Just say npm init. You hit your enter. On the left hand side of your Visual Studio, in that folder, if you have a folder, you will see the package.json file will be created automatically. So if you say npm init in enter to ask all those author, version, and everything, right? But automatically it will create it for you. But you can manually do it yourself without using this command. Just create a file, call it package.json, then you put in all those version, author, name, you just put it yourself, right? So you can manually create a package.json file. An easier approach is to use npm init command. That makes it's like automatic, right?
This command gonna like put in the name author
Yeah.
by itself.
It will ask you author.
Okay.
It will prompt you all those things.
Alright.
Yeah, it will prompt you all those things. Author, version, it will even show you the version in some cases. So to give you, just prompt you, just at the long run, once you are done, you say yes, enter, it will create it automatically, right? But if you don't want to use the npm init, you can also create it manually. Just in your folder on the left hand side of your Visual Studio, create a file, call it package.json, and you have to start writing it, typing it one by one on your own. But if you do it automatically, it will create it, it will give you the file name, everything, automatically. So npm will ask you a few questions about your application, and will automatically create a new package.json file for you. So the sample will look similar to the this screen snapshot, right? So it will ask you the name, the version, the description. This is mean that we are doing, but if you are doing Node.js, the Git repository, you can decide to leave it out. Keyword, you can leave it out. Author, to show you the license. The license can either be ISC or MIT. So let me explain that. If you are using npm init, it will use ISC to show you the license is ISC. As you use npm init, you can use yarn init. YARN, yarn init. If you use yarn init, the type of license will be MIT. The type of license it will show you the MIT. So let me go back.
Yeah.
Instead of saying npm init, you can also say yarn init. If you say yarn init, where you have the license, I'm just saying it because if some of us are using yarn, some of us are using npm, you wonder we should have the same license, right? But if you say yarn init, it will show the license as MIT. If you use the npm init, it will show the license as ISC. Right? Okay. So and you see all these name, version that you have added, description, the main, the scripts. By default, it will show you echo, no text specified. You can change these scripts if you want it to start executing any file. So now it's not executing any file. The file you want it to execute, you must have created it, maybe .js file. You can say start, you change it, remove this, change start, full colon, then in uppercase the name of the file you want it to execute. Right. So author, this is for Professor Ila. So I say author, you put your name.
Yeah.
Put your name there. Then automatically it will show you the license. So if you are using yarn, I said it will show you the MIT. If you are using npm, it will show you ISC. So is it okay? Just press yes. Once you hit yes, and hit enter, it will create the package.json file automatically for you. So after you have created the package.json file, you should be able to install your application dependencies. By navigating to the application root folder, use the npm install, whatever you want to install. Right. So an And sometimes better approach to install your dependencies, you use the following npm update command. So be careful when you use your update. Then also you can install the latest version of Express. You can install the latest version of Express. You use the npm install express save space dash save to install it and to save it. Yeah. So I'm just taking our time to go through this because these are all what you'll be seeing in your code, right? So when you see the package.json file, we have already talked about that, so that we avoid the question, why do we have this? So common, we have two more. Then we'll at least let's probably create that package.json file and we'll start from there. Right. So common JS module. So I'll just talk about that. Then we'll talk about the JS web application. Okay, so the Common JS module basically started in 2009 to standardize the way of working with JavaScript outside the browser. So it tells us if you want to work with JavaScript outside the browser, it tells us to create a standard. Right? So it came into existence basically to support a variety of JavaScript issues, including the global namespace issue, which was resolved through a simple specification of how to write and include isolated JavaScript module. So the Common JS basically is being used or came into existence so as to be able to support JavaScript, right? So the Common JS standards specify the following key components when working with modules. So we are still going to see all of this as well. So please take note of it in our code, in our script. So the Common JS standards specify the following key components when working with modules. Require is a method that you use to load the module into the code. So for you to bring in the Common JS module into your code, you have to use require. We are going to see how or if you have watched the video, by Professor Tom, you will see where he said require is a method that will load the modules into your Export. So another that contains each module and allows you to export pieces of your code when the module is loaded. So export will help you to expose the code. So basically, what is a module? Module we refer to it as object that is used to provide metadata information about the module. It provides information about the module that you are using, right? So it contains a pointer to export object property. So by the time we start using it, so this is what it is. So because by the time we start typing the code, I might not be able to go back to that explanation, or I will still explain. So that's why we are going through. I'm taking our time to go through this because some students say, why do we have require? What is require doing? Right? What is export doing? Right?
Is it the same like we did you described in the last class, the import export functions?
Yeah.
It's kind of that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the in Node, the Common JS module implementation, how is it implemented? Each module is written in JavaScript file. So it has an isolated scope that holds its own member, but it is written in JavaScript file. So the author of the module can expose any functionality to the exports. Remember, exports will expose that module. So let's create a module file named hello.js that will contain the following code snippets. Const let. We said is a new feature in JavaScript. You know, before if you want to define your variable, you say var, right? So that is why I mentioned last time that please go through the remaining part of that ECMA script. Remember the part 2, we only did the overview of the JavaScript. The remaining part has some code that talks about const. Let me open that. Week 1. So if you have not gone through it, it's necessary for you to understand these are the new features in JavaScript. Const, declaring your variable instead of using vacuum, or you can use const. Right. So if you want to know how to do that, you can watch some videos, or you can also go back to our week 1. Go back to week 1, this part 2. So we treated the first part, JavaScript's evolution, we look at the overview of that. And the second part, the ECMA script, I just explained some few things in class that day. Modules is there, right? Modules is there. You can run all of these modules. We have the modules. Say the modules, you have export and import. So please kindly go through this. Export and import, and you have to specify in your script elements. So we have some few examples. Maybe I should take the demo of this one so that you understand how it works. Right. So that you understand how the module works. If you go to your so these are examples for the modules. So you try it out. Classes, I'm sure you're familiar with classes. Arrow functions, these are new features, right? Then we have let and const. Please go through it. We didn't have much time last week, so you can also watch some videos on it. Default, rest, and spread. I don't know whether I have it. I said I was going to upload a Word document. Oh my God, I think I mentioned that. Word document where I have some of the codes there, so that it will guide you. JavaScript closures. You already have the examples there, just for you to run it. And for you to run it, just save it with your .js extension. So you also have the name with it. So you save this with this, save this with that. Right. So you can just test it with note the name of the file, or you can just run it on live server. So please, okay, let's see if there is time. If we finish the lecture, if there is time, I will come back to this. At least to take the module. Right. I will come back to this. At least to take the module, so that by next class we will start the hands-on for. So time will determine. So because I want us to understand some of the few things we have here. Right. So let me go back. Let's complete that. Because I'm sure some of us will be wondering, where is exports coming from, where is imports coming from, and those stuff. So if we are using the module, we will have that. Right. So this is just an example. Once message is hello, then you have to export say hello, then the function, the statement you want to use, console.log, you should log in. That you pass in the variable name, storing that value. You should put it in the console of that, just like what you do in your JavaScript, right? Yeah. So it will put it in the console of your browser window. It will display it. Instead of saying document.write, it will put it in the console, to put the result, this hello.work, hello, to put it in the console of your browser window. Right. So this is an example to create an application file named server.js which contains this code. We declare a variable, instead of saying var, say const hello as the name, equals to require. And if you go back, we said require is a method I used to load the module. So basically that will just load the module into your code, right? So hello dot say hello. So basically the application file will load the hello module using the require method. So that is what the require method does. That is what the require method does, right? So it's used to load your module, right? So it's still the same script, but we just add some few things, modify it. So module.export, we say export, we expose it, right? So please, we'll still take that first part of module so that we can understand this better. Right. So Node.js called modules. So the core modules are modules that we have compiled into the Node binary, and the core modules basically provide most of the functionalities of the node, including the file system, your HTTP and HTTP interface. Right. So by the time we start doing our demo, we will still see something like this. The FS structure, the file structure core module, to read the content of the environment host file will look like the following. Const fs require fs. So this will load the fs module. Then you will read the file. So this is the file you want to read. You put in is your maybe server.js, whatever name you have given to the file, you put it in here. So if you can read the part, right? So we have error and data. Error, that is if error occurs while executing that. If error occurs, you can tell it to return to the console error message. Be successful, console.log the data. So basically what the data do? Data is like a buffer. The data here is like a buffer, and simply it helps you to read every character, every information on that file. Do we get that? Every information, everything on that file, the data is like a buffer that reads everything on that file that you are trying to read. Right. So that is what it does. So the error will handle the error. If error occurs, it should return console.log. In the console of the browser window, it should return error. Else, it should return the data. Right. The data means it will come and execute what you have in that your file. Right. This is just an example. So if you find you are trying to execute is maybe lib.js, so it will execute that file and display the output in the console of the browser. So do you have any question regarding this? All understood?
So you just read data from a file and just save it?
Yeah, it reads data from this file.
That specific file, not
Yeah.
the file that you wrote?
The file, the specific file that you want it to read.
Okay.
You must have created the file, right? So you just put the file in here. You can read the parts wherever you have it in a folder. So you read it. So the data will read that file, every character, everything you have in that file, right? And it will execute it. Right.
What can be the error, like if the file name, if it doesn't
The file name, let's say the file name is, let me say for instance, maybe date.js, right? And your date.js, you have written a code. Maybe you are saying A plus B, right? So basically, it's go and execute that A plus B in that file name.
Yeah, I got it, but what's the error like?
What's it?
ERR.
Error.
Yeah, error.
You can even define your own error message,
Okay.
right? So here we say error, you can define your own error message. So return console.log, you should execute this, right? But if it's successful, you should execute this. And that data is the file name, right? So, okay, so let me just, when you require the FS module, Node will find it core modules. So we say require the FS module. We are trying to tell that we need the FS module, the file system module, expression module. Then to use the fs.readFile method. So it's using this method to read the file content, right? So it's using this is a method, right? It will use to read the file content, right? I hope you got that. But by the time we start doing the hands-on, we might not be able to. I'll still try and say it, but I just want us to get it clearer before now. So Node.js third-party module. So the Node.js third-party modules, npm install these modules in a folder, name node_module and the root folder. So you use the third-party module, you can just require them. If you have installed them, you use that require, right, to ask for them as you would normally require a core module. That's why you have that require. So for instance, here, so okay, let me take it. Load first for the module in the core module folder, and then try to load the module from the module folder inside the load module folder. So you have that in that folder. So let's say, for instance, you want to use Express module now. You want to ask for Express module, right? So everything within that folder. So, but specifically, you want to ask for Express module, right? So your code will look like the following post like that. So const express, remember we are asking for express module, so we require what? Express module. We get that? Unlike the first one we did earlier on, here we require the FS module, right? So you have to specify the module that you require in executing your code, right? Here we only need the FS, the file structure module, so we require, hey, in the node.module folder, I need FS module. There are different modules, and inside the module, you have several methods, right? So for this example now, we want to want to use Express module. So the Express module too is inside that module folder. So in that folder, we have several modules that you can require, and for each module there are several methods, right? So here, const express is sort of like variable declaration, right? Yeah. So go back and understand the const and let very well. Equals to require. You are telling compiler, oh, I need the express module from that folder, right? So const app equals to express, so you are trying to execute it here. So node, we then look for the express module in the node modules folder. So to go back to node module folder, it will look for that module that you have requested for and load it into your application. So where you will be able to use it as a method to generate the express application object. So we add some other method to it. So you can place some module inside a folder and load them by providing the following path. So you must specify the path where you have it, right? So we want to use the hello module, right? So the application file will have to change. So node will look like in the new relative path. So we have it in a path. So you must know where the module that you are trying to require is. So you have to read the path, whether absolute or relative paths. Right? I'm sure you know that already. So const hello equals to require. You are trying to require this hello module, right? So the hello module is stored in in modules. So you have to read that path. So know where it is, then you read it, right? So hello con. Now that the path is an absolute path, then require. So it's all about. So if you don't read that path, you just be having error. So that's another thing you should take note of in this course, right? Know the path where you have your files, know the path where you have your modules, so that when you are reading it, whether it's absolute, you read it absolutely, or it's relative path. So you must take cognizance of that. Because at times you are running your code, say, I'm not having any output. I'm not, so go back and check. Right. So, okay. So requiring folder module is also done in the same way as file module as follows. So it's just the same thing I explained earlier on. Okay, so I think we have one more slide, then we'll see if we can. Okay, so developing Node.js web application. Developing Node.js web application. Okay. Developing Node.js web application. So as we have said, Node.js is a platform. So we keep repeating everything so that it will stick. That supports various type of application, but mostly the most type of application it supports, the most popular kind is the development of web application. So Node.js is a platform. I'm taking our time to just explain. I could have said go and read this, but I know reading it at times you might have some few questions. So Node.js is a platform that supports various types of application, but the most popular kind is the development of web application. Right. So these modules, the node style of coding depends on the community to extend the platform to the third-party module. Then these modules are built upon to create new modules and so on. So companies and senior developers around the globe, they participate in the process by creating modules that wrap basic Node APIs and deliver better starting point for application development. So this is what just they do. Node developers will keep modifying, keep improving on it. So developing Node.js application, there are many modules to support web application development. So if you download that, if you go to that Node modules, you have several, right, inside, like we are, so inside each of the modules as well, you have several methods inside, right. So we have the connect module. The connect module. So we have several modules, depending on the module you want to use.
Is it installed by default when we
The
download
connect
it?
module, you have to install it. We'll get there now.
Okay, okay. The Express, the Connect, the other ones.
You have to install it. Yeah. So the connect module delivers a set of wrapper around the Node.js low-level API to enable the development of rich web application framework. So that's the essence of this. So, so let's take an example, a basic example of Node web server. We're trying to create an application here now. So you create a folder, and in that folder you create a file name. This is an example. We have called our file name server.js, and it contains this code. So const HTTP, we want to require, HTTP. So HTTP.createServer, this is a method inside that. So we want to make a request and we want to receive the response. This is an arrow function, right? The statement to execute should respond by writing the head. 200 means this is successful. I'm sure we all know that. 200, 404, and all those stuff is successful. Then in the header of that response that it is sending, that is going to display, we want the content of what it's going to send as a response to be in plain text. If you want it to be in XML, you have to specify. So it should return the response in plain text, and response.end, what we are trying to receive is hello world. It should respond with hello world, and it's listening. This communication is listening on port 3000, right? On port 3000. So console.log server is running at HTTP localhost. So you should log that to console of your browser window, or you can tell it to display that. So this is an explanation. So I will go back. All of what you have here. So please, if you go through your slide very well, if you read, try and read with understanding. The slide is self-explanatory. The slide is self-explanatory. I'm just taking our time now to just let you know that there's nothing so big in all these slides. Right? It's something you can read. If you don't understand, you can ask questions. So there are times that if we have, for the week, if the week workload is going to be much, I might send to go through the slide. So that once I just come to the class, I'll just quickly recap, then we'll start working on the hands-on. Because it will get to a stage that, as you go on, the workload, yeah. So I'm just going through the slide to see that it's just the way it is. Read with understanding. Anything you do understand, you can ask, please. Right. Okay. So this is what we have in our script. So to start the web server, we want to launch it in the server. Yeah. So you run the node CLI to run the server.js file as follow. So after writing that, you have saved it with server.js. Go to your terminal. How do you run it? How do you run this code? How do you run this code? You go to your terminal, your Visual Studio. You will still copy and run this code now. You copy and run it now. So go to the terminal of your browser window. That terminal, to run it, you say node space server. That's the name of the file, right? You said we are saving it with server.js. So node space server. So once you hit on enter, it will tell you on the port where it is running, right? Open HTTP. So once it tells you the port where it is running, copy that HTTP localhost, go and open your browser window, paste it in, and it will display the output. Right. So here we are using HTTP module. Remember we said HTTP. So the module we are using here is HTTP. So I'm sure we now understand this now. We are requesting for, we want to use the HTTP module. Right. And in this HTTP module, we want to use a method called create server. So we have, so you paste it in the browser window, it will display the output because it's listing on port 3000. So that's a simple web that you have created down. Yeah. So that's a simple web application. So you can even add some other pages to that web application. You can add some other pages to it. So what we have done, after asking for that HTTP module, we now require the HTTP module first and then use the create server method. So the create server method is in the HTTP module. So we say, okay, hey, after requiring the module, I need this module, I want to use HTTP module. In the HTTP module, I need a method. So I need this create server method to return my server object. So the listen method is used to listen on port 3000. If you go back, you say listen. It's another method. You should listen on port 3000. So you notice the callback function that is passed as an argument to the create server method. Right. So we can run that. Let's quickly run that so that we see how it looks like. Okay. So open your Visual Studio. Open your Visual Studio. In your Visual Studio, you can create a folder. Let me see if I can use this Visual Studio. We are not done yet, but I just want us to do that demo so that we will, before we go to the next one. Before we go to the next one, let's see how it looks like. We'll still run the code here. So this is connect module to connect. So let's go back. So if you open your Visual Studio, let me just create a folder on the So I've created the folder. You can go to your file. If you have created the folder anywhere, file, open folder, and I uploaded, I selected the folder to leave it in. So this is my folder in my Visual Studio. So I will now create a file. So this is new file, new folder. This is to refresh, and this is to collapse the folder and Explorer. So I'll click on new file in this folder. So the file I want to create is, we are asked to name it as server. Server.js. Slide them back. Okay. Server.js. So I'll save it as server.js. So I'll just copy and paste that code and explain one more time instead of typing. Because okay. So these are server.js file. We have placed this like variable declaration using const HTTP const require, and we want to use the HTTP module. All of this module, you can get them in, is it when you type TypeScript, you have all of this module there, TypeScriptLang.com. Okay, I'll figure that out. So you can get all of the various modules there, and in the various modules, you have, for each module, you have HTTP module, you have FS module, all of those modules are there. Then if you click on each of the modules, you will see the method, various methods in it, right? So,
We need to download this first, right?
sorry?
HTTP module. You need to download this, right?
You don't need to download the HTTP module.
It's already in the node.
It's already in your node, this thing. So if it's not there, it will tell you, then we will do it. So you can open the terminal. Let's view the terminal. So let's go to view terminal. So it will show you the where you have it. So and it says to run this, hope there is no error, node space server. That's the name. Server is the name of that file. Space server. So let me see npm init. Okay. So this takes us back. Remember I said npm init or yarn init. So I want to take us back to that. Can we still remember that PowerPoint slide?
Yes.
So I said npm init, and it says package name. I'll press enter. Version, it shows me the version, right? Enter. Description, want to put any description, you can add it. Enter. Entry point, the name of my file that I'm trying to launch. Enter. Text command, if you want to put any text, instead of leaving it as error, you can put anything there. Then Git repository, I will leave it out. Want to add any keyword, then author, you can add your name as the author. So license, remember I said if you use npm init, it will give you the license ISC. But if you do yarn init, give you yeah. So enter. So you can see the JSON package.json file that is creating. So you say, is this okay? And I press yes, press enter. So look at the left hand side down of your Visual Studio Code. Can you see that automatically create the package.json file? Right. You can do it manually, just create a new file, call it package.json. So that is a package.json file. Right. So if you go to the package.json file, we have tests, echo, this and that. I'll just remove this. You can delete this. I want you to execute the script. You should start executing the name of the script. Server.js. Right, so we can remove this. It should not do any tests. We can mark it as comment. We can leave it out. Are we having the same thing? Maybe I should use my laptop. What do you have?
I don't know, it's not finding the npm server. When I'm just trying it here, it's working, but I don't know why it's not working.
Okay.
And I'm just doing it in Node.js.
So did you give it the output?
Visual Code.
Visual Studio Code. Did you
Yeah.
give it the output? Did anybody get that? So we are familiar with how to create the package.json now. How the package.json file is being created.
Do we
Okay.
have to make this v2 in the same folder that we have in Node?
No, you can just create a folder.
Yeah.
They should use my laptop. I hope everything has been properly installed. Okay, let me say node.js and add the extension to it. Still having error. In JSON position JSON.pass. I have main server. Okay. Okay. I will fix this one anyway. Okay. So let's run through the PowerPoint slide. We'll come back to this. So it ought to let's complete the PowerPoint slide. It ought to show us the localhost where it's running. So and the port number. Okay, let's just move further. Perhaps I should use this. Plain text. Okay, let's complete the slide so that we won't waste. We know that we are done with slide today. Okay. So, but at least we know how to bring out the package.json, how to create the package.json file, right? So that we have done the demo because we'll be using that. We'll be using that package.json to create that, right? Okay. So to run the Node.js file, you go to the terminal, node space, the name of the file, right? Once you click on it, it ought to give you the URL and the port number where it is listening on, right? So, excuse me. So you now copy this localhost and the port number. You now open a new browser window, paste it in, and it will give you the output, right? It will give you the output. I'm still going to go back. Listen. Let me go back to server.js file. Okay. port address? Did you get it? Did you get it? You got it? Did you get it? How many of us got it? How many of us got it? Okay. Still running it with Node and the server, right? Maybe there's something. You got it?
Excuse me, I got some.
Don't put dollar sign there. Are you using?
Yeah, I tried that.
So we should get, maybe I have to use my laptop to demonstrate. Let me see. So most of us are having errors.
For example,
I hope we completed the installation, or check the error message that you have. Check the error message that you have. It says this is not a recognized, so don't put this.
here I did put this and it will.
So I will connect to my laptop and demonstrate it from my laptop. So because I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's, is this okay?
Yeah. Yeah, it works. Okay, maybe I'll have to go round now. Don't say because mine is not working, I'm using the school system here. Maybe I'll connect to my laptop for you to see. So it's running on this port number. Copy this port number, this server, copy it, and open a browser window and paste it in.
For example, I got this.
Control C, open maybe Chrome or anything.
And I just copy.
Put it in the URL and press enter. It should show you that. Okay, maybe I should go round, or should I display it from my system? Let me connect to my laptop. I don't want to start this so that we won't.
Hello world.
Beautiful. So what do you have there?
Hello world.
Hello world. Beautiful. Okay. So I will move around now. You should have that. Once you copy that. Let me see if I can connect to my, because I don't know if I can connect to my laptop. Okay, let me see. So let me see how you are running it. Give me a second. So if you are successful, you can assist those around you. If you are successful, you can assist those around you. Right.
Because I didn't know, I didn't see there is something like another JSON file create.
JSON file created one. Did you do what you did earlier on? JSON file did not come. For you to bring up the file, you have to have npm space in it. npm space in it. Yeah. No, you have to end this. Control C. So if your server is running, you want to end it. Control C to end. There are npm space in it. You have the JSON package there. Okay, let me go around. So please, hello, maybe help me to assist them here. Help me to assist them on this. On that, he has gotten it. Assist them there. So those on that line. Yeah, let him assist those on that line. You assist those on your desk. So if you have someone that has gotten it on your row, please don't shy away from it. Okay, let me see. Are you in Visual Studio?
Yeah, so I'm on Visual Studio.
Okay, are you using Mac? Because it's looking strange.
It's a Visual Studio Code, and I just did their testing and just trying
Okay, apart from package.json, let me see.
It should be running
The server.js.
Yes.
Okay. So server is running. You are good.
Yeah.
So copy this.
I have opened it.
Copy this. Copy it. I'm not seeing because the screen is dark. Copy it. Copy. Highlight it and copy it and open Chrome. It shows hello world.
Yes.
Yeah, you are right. That is what. If you go to your server.js, we have hello world there. We should display. Okay. So you are good too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll modify.
No, it's working. Try opening it in the browser. Maybe something's missing on the because you should select which like compiler you're gonna use. Yeah, that's working. Just select the compiler.
Yeah, I do have a package.
It's showing the compiler. Yeah, start debugging.
Don't do that. Open your terminal. Okay, you have the terminal already. You have the terminal. So, type node space.
Because I think we've installed like a Python or something.
Here?
Yeah. Oh, that's why. Because if you're going to compare it with a
Copy this.
you'll show that
But it's
Your Chrome browser.
instead of you running JavaScript, you're running Python, so it's showing.
Chrome or any browser.
Make sure to check what compiler you're gonna use.
So display that every one. So you are fine. Yeah.
Yeah, the node.
So what? So everybody's good here. So what's going on? It's still not working.
Yeah, it's not working.
Is it? I hope it's not an issue with Mac because I'm not Mac friend.
Yeah, but it's just saying like.
Let me see. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
What the professor did.
npm command not found. This means like npm is not.
npm. Okay, so npm space init.
I did that, but it.
Did it?
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. Okay, npm. Okay, go to all those commands and install. npm install.
Yeah.
You know, like the settings for this.
I already have like this version coupled with npm.
Okay.
npm version.
Okay.
It's 8.9.
Okay, go to that terminal. Go to the Visual VS Code terminal.
Yeah.
Here's a lot of compiler.
Type. Okay, good. Maybe you do the installation here.
Here.
Yeah, let's see. Or okay.
npm install.
Let me see. Node is not. I'm being careful because it's Mac. Anything Mac.
It's all the same. Like it's like there's nothing different. Maybe I should open this one.
Says npm.
Here it's
Okay.
I don't know how to do it practically.
Install.
Actually, there's a first one. I'm not just I'm not following them. You can just this one. You have to do it. Instead of typing though,
Maybe
Okay, let me see.
it's actually the long method.
Let me see. npm it has created the JSON.
This is actually
Has it created the JSON? Package.json.
JSON. And then your JSON. So with JS.
Did you create your package?
JSON. 这个是。你打开那个文件夹了吗？
But if you want to try that, that's fine. I've been doing that before. No, man. I think this is one.
在一个文件夹里面。那这就是名字不一样。这个加一个方。
Log out and open it. Close it out. I wonder why. So everybody is fine now, so that we can complete that slide. I want us to complete all the slides today, so that
后四年前那个。
Everything is there.
sorry, I'm not saying that. Close that.
init 就 npm init
Install that one.
就这个 是用这个来写这个 package。用 needs INIT。这直接回车吧，看到名字再写个名字就够了。直接回车就行了。
Which folder do you put it? What?
You see the author, you can
No,
write
put it
it
on
down.
it. Put on desktop. Let's see. Maybe that's what I need.
你的就
So everybody's
你的就没有这场
okay.
这场东西。有啊。
What do you find the path variable again for the Node.js?
这个
For the
PowerPoint side to install.
这回车写就行，没写什么东西。
update the path variable. What will the file be again? Is it in update or is it
To update.
the path file? Like you know how we go to the advanced system settings and then
Okay, the extension, the environment variable.
yes.
Okay, advanced. Go to just type at the Windows. Advanced system.
Here we're here. But
Then
it's like
go to.
直接没事就行。
You have to go back to your folder.
yeah.
Yeah. You can search. In C, you did the installation in C, so make sure you're in C. Then search. Search one.
So it's being
Yeah.
and it's gonna be the bin file, right?
Yeah. So you can just
The bin file.
copy the address like this.
Is it the bin file? Or
Yeah. I think
we have to reset to figure out.
paste it now.
Because I just pasted it here, and then we tried to do
Will you say okay? After pasting, you must okay, save everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me.
this command to watch it. Maybe it's just
Okay.
yeah, it's just this one. The real command is there. So we do the
No. Open the terminal. You need to run. Open the terminal. No. Open the terminal. No.
so now this one.
You don't need to copy and take this back on the machine that you are using.
your files.
Yeah.
It
So
should
what
be
we
this
have
domain.
address. It's what
Mine
we
is
have.
same.
So you want to end.
Yes,
You want to end, you have to have the end, that's not apostrophe C. Control
will not
C.
That's
Control together. Yeah.
so simple.
The jan in
If
it,
you go
is
into
that,
this,
so, listen,
Actually, I just
listen,
downloaded
is either use the
and
NPM in it or jan in it, either, you can't use both, you can't use both, right?
But I think I still need to.
Hello? So, is either the package.json file, the package.json file, if you are use npm in it to create it, you don't need to use jan in it, it's one, you can't use both, right? So, but you can just try it to see how it looks like, it's just the license that, yeah. Okay, everybody is fine.
In my case, it's the bash terminal actually. It should be the power terminal. That's,
It's
it's using the ZSH bash terminal.
bash terminal, okay, change it,
You don't know how to change.
change it, you should have a list of the,
Yeah, it's like I don't have.
you don't have it, why? Cause you should have a list of terminals
Yeah,
there.
here it is, but I can see the power terminal.
Let's say use JavaScript because both terminal, let me start with this guy.
Did you remove that?
Okay, try it now, let's see.
No server,
No server.
This is just.
You can put the extension, no server or no server.js, enter.
Again, it's
Okay, do you have CMD there? Do you have the command line there?
command line.
No, do you have the command line there?
Command and power, they are the same, right?
Oh my God. Check, put it in Google, put it in Mr. Google. Any error you are getting, go to Mr. Google. Say how to fix space, then paste the error there. To give you the answer. Okay, I want us to complete the slide so that next class will come. So this is part of what we'll be doing next class. What time? 10:08. Sorry, I want to finish all the slides today so that on Thursday we'll. Well, it's still reading OneDrive. It's still reading OneDrive. It's still just for C users. Did you put all your installation in OneDrive or C? Yeah, it's still reading OneDrive, then desktop.
Did you copy and paste the,
Yeah, so go back. There it is.
server, it should give you at least some
So,
sort of error.
we have to.
Just say-
It's still reading it. Let me minimize this. Sorry. I want to minimize, I don't want to close it, I want to minimize it. Please, okay. Please put it up with it.
this how it works on the web, like you need to go to this. Open window and it will open in a browser. Maybe just I'll just install it in my.
That's the same thing.
Something is missing, that is what I'm having there too. Yeah, same thing what I'm having, so maybe something is missing from the installation. Eh? Okay, don't worry, we'll figure it out by next class. Yeah, I want to complete the slide before we close, before we end the class. Okay. So let's quickly complete this so that we know that are we set? Let's complete this. Meet the connect module, connecting shall we say, let's complete this slide. Hello? Okay, are you okay now? Okay. Okay, so let's complete the slide so that we know by next class. This is part of what we are going to be doing next class that we have done now. So we know how to create the package, the JSON file now. We know how to write, and it's a simple web application running on the server on the port now, right? So we are gradually building how to work with your assignments, right? Yeah. So meet the connect module. So connect is a module built to support the intersection of requests in a more modular approach. So we are going to build a simple web server using the HTTP module. That is what we have just done. We've been able to build a simple web server using HTTP module. So you can also add more to that example, right? And you can use the connect to create an API exactly for that purpose. So if you extend that example, you write the code that will, we're trying to write another code that will manage the different HTTP requests. You know, you can make several requests. HTTP requests sent to your server and handle them properly and provide the correct response. So the connect module uses a modular component called middleware. And basically it will allow you to register your application logic to a predefined HTTP. So it uses the connect, and basically that connect will help you to register your application to a particular HTTP request scenario. So the connect middleware are basically callback functions we get executed when an HTTP request occurs. So basically the connect module helps to create a connection and it sends back a callback function which helps your HTTP request to occur. I'll just read it out, then I have where I'm going to, because we have to install that connect. If you don't install the connect, you will not be able to work with the connect module, right? So, but basically we said this is what it will do, right? So the middleware, it will help the middleware to perform some logic to return a response or call the text registered middleware. So the way a connect application works is using an object called dispatcher. So the connect application uses an object called dispatcher. So this is how the dispatcher works. The dispatcher object handles each HTTP. I'll read it out and I will explain using this diagram, right? So the dispatcher object handles each HTTP request received by the server and then decide the order of middleware execution in the cascading form. So to understand this, to understand the connect, you look at the diagram, and this is an explanation of the diagram. Here we have
two calls made to the connect application. Go back to that diagram. You have the dispatcher, the application logger, the body parser, the static middleware, the custom middleware. So we are trying to make a request to the server. So the first request is handled by a custom middleware, and the second is handled by a static middleware. So this is the first request, this is the second request. This first request is handled by the custom middleware, and the second one is handled by the static file. So the first one is handled by this custom middleware, while the second one is handled by the static middleware. We'll still talk about middleware, right? Maybe here or okay. Let's just continue. I'm trying to recollect where we have it. So basically, what will the dispatcher do? The dispatcher will initiate the process, then it will move on to the next handler using the next method until it gets to the middleware responding with the response end method, which will now end the request handling. So if you make a request, basically, what the dispatcher will do is that it will first of all, you know, the request is in, should I say, in stages. You make the request. It will look at the request that you have made. It will look at the next one. It will look at the next one. Using the next method. It uses the next method to handle each request that you make, right? So to look at the request, the next method also will go back to the next request, to go back to the next request, and so on. That is what that means until it gets to the middleware where the response will end, right? So it is the next method that is used in moving from one request, right, to another, and to another, so to the last one. Then the server will now then get that and then send the response back. So it uses basically the next method to cycle from one request to the other until it gets to the middleware response, and it will use the end method to execute that, and the server will then receive the request and it will send the response back. So in our next class, that is next week, we will create your first Express application. So the Express application is based on the connect approach that we are talking about now. So here we are trying to create a connect. We want to create a connect application, a simple connect application, using that connect module. So, see, using that server.js file, right? So we are requiring the connect module now, right? The first one we did was HTTP module, right? So we are using the connect module now. You are saying, hey, I need the connect module. There is a link where you can see all those modules, HTTP, connect, FS, and each of those modules has their various methods. If I can't get it now, maybe by next class, so that you can go and look at all the modules. We have several of them. Then you look at it. So we are trying to make the application to listen. We'll be listening on port 3000, console.log, server running at that local host. So we are using the connect module. We can run this. If you try to run this, go and modify your server.js now, everybody. For those that have gotten it, go back to that server.js. Go back to the server.js. Change to what we have now, or you can just copy and paste this and replace it. Go back to your PowerPoint slide, copy and paste this and replace it. Using the connect module. We are trying to use the connect module. The first module we used was HTTP, but we want to use the connect module now.
Change the whole thing.
Just copy this and highlight that server and paste it. Change the whole thing. Let it override it. Let it override it. So one thing about the connect module is that if you run it, if you save it now, make sure that server that is running, I hope you have used Ctrl+C to end that. If you use Ctrl+C to end that, it will take you back to the terminal. So if you run this, right? And you save it and you say node space server or node space server.js. If you don't have the connect module installed, it's going to give you an error message. Try it. So we are using the connect module to create a new web server. So if you are using the connect module, you need to install the connect using npm. So you need to install it. So try it out first. If you save it, try and run it. Node space the name of that file, server or server.js. Run it. If you run it, it's likely going to give you an error, right? Yeah. So why do you have an error? If you are using the connect module, you will have to install that connect module. If you don't install it, it will not work. Right? It will not work. So you need to install. So to install, npm space install connect, then press enter. So connect is not a core module, so you will have to install it. So to install it, since you are having an error, type npm, normally use npm space install connect, then hit enter. You should do that. Are we there? npm space install, then press enter. Okay, let me use it. Okay, we should even end the class now. So after installing that connect, then run it again. No space server. And so no space server. Okay, that's all. Okay, and that should work, right? So npm space install connect. If you are using the connect module, because it's not a core module, the connect module is not a core module, you have to install it. So npm space install space connect, enter, it will install it. After installing it, then you go back and run it. Node space server, and you should get, you should listen on that port, copy it and put it in a browser window, and that should work.
Connect, but if there is
Okay. Give me a second. I don't want the other instructor to give me that block passed all my.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I saw another hand somewhere. Okay, you. I hope you'll be able to handle that before.
We have to do